Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Dr. Elizabeth Stevens. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the new lead minister here at UUFR. Whether you are here in person or watching at home, it's good to be with you this morning. It's good for all of us to be together. As we gather together this morning, I'd like to share with you words from Joe Von Rue and Lynette Lowe. Welcome to this space, this sanctuary of peace where we come to not only create our best selves, but to also do the work of creating a beloved community. We come together today as individuals, much like individual pieces of glass or pottery that are different shapes and sizes and colors, all of which are broken with imperfect, jagged edges, but always beautiful. While our pieces may not always fit neatly together, it is within this sanctuary, guided by our principles and our shared values, that we gather together to create a beautiful mosaic. May the brokenness and beauty you find in one another create peace in this space and fill our hearts with love as we create worship together.
Good morning. I'm Karen. I use she, her pronouns. The flaming chalice is the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the liberal religious tradition to which this congregation belongs. Will those of you here in person please stand in body or spirit for our chalice lighting? If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it with me at this time. Please join me in saying the words on the screen. As we kindle this flame, we recommit ourselves to nurturing the spirits of one another and the common good of the world we share. May the light of this flame be welcoming to all who seek a liberal religious home. For those of you already standing, I invite you to remain standing for our opening hymn, number 1017, Building a New Way.
We are
Good morning again. I'm still Karen, and I still use she, her pronouns. I'm glad to be part of your worship team this morning. Whether this is your first or your 1,000th Sunday with us, whether you strolled, rolled, zoomed, ran, or danced in, we are glad you chose to join us. We are one people of many beliefs, identities, origins, ethnicities, sexualities, and genders. So whoever you are, wherever you've come from, whatever your faith or lack thereof, and whomever you love, all are welcome here. The UU Fellowship of Raleigh is an intentionally inclusive, liberally religious community actively serving the common good of our shared world. This morning, one of our lay ministers will be in the front right corner of the sanctuary after service to talk with anyone who might be experiencing difficult circumstances and would like to talk to someone. I hope all of you will read through the chalice you received by email Friday about everything happening here at UUFR, or check out the upcoming events section of the website. I'd like to highlight one item. After the worship service, our assistant minister, Carrie will be leading a newcomer gathering. This is a chance for recent visitors to meet with Carrie, learn more about Unitarian Universalism and UUFR, and ask any questions they may have. This gathering will take place in the music room at the end of the hallway outside the sanctuary at the end of service. Coffee and donuts will be served. Our in-person social hour this morning will be downstairs in Founders Hall. I now invite you to meet and greet your neighbor.
I invite us to come back together now. Let's come back together now. Let's continue our worship now. It's always hard to stop talking with each other. It's not what I wanted to do. But this is the time in our service when we acknowledge some of the joys and some of the sorrows of our shared community. We do this because we believe a joy shared is a joy made even greater, and a sorrow shared is made easier to bear. Becky Elliott and Emilio Sobral are concerned about those affected by the derecho and tornadoes that have devastated areas of northwest Indiana. May we hold in our hearts residents of Indiana as well as others across the country who have been affected by destructive fires and storms. Corinne Ehrlich shares her joy that her surgery last Tuesday went well and that she's already feeling less pain. She asks that we keep her in our thoughts and prayers as she continues to heal. And we will light one more candle for any joy and sorrow that may be in your heart that remains unspoken. As we hold these shared joys and sorrows in our hearts, And as we reflect on the joys and sorrows, fears and hopes, stillness and in silence, opening ourselves to that spirit within us and amidst us, called by many names and known to every human heart, that leads us to a fuller and deeper and richer experience of life. After the silence, we'll sing together hymn 123, Spirit of Life. But for now, let's be together in stillness and in silence.
Good morning. My name is Linda Watson, and it's my pleasure to serve on our UUFR Board of Directors. I will be downstairs at social hour after the worship service. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me about the board, talk to me about any concerns you have, or just chat. Everything we do at UUFR is only possible because of the generous financial support so many of us provide. For those of you who have set up automated giving to UUFR or who send in a check every month, I'd like to thank you now for your generosity. Here at UUFR, we designate one Sunday each month as Justice Sunday, and all the money collected during our offering is given to a local or national nonprofit organization. Today is our Justice Sunday for this month, and our Justice Council has designated the Helen Wright Center as the recipient of today's offering. UUFR member Joyce Dunn will tell us a little more.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to let you know I have a voice impairment, so if at any point you're not hearing or understanding me, please raise a hand and let me know. I'm Joyce Dunn. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the many proud volunteers from UFR who go to Helen Wright Center every month and serve a table dinner to the ladies who live there. The Helen Wright Center is one of many services provided by Urban Ministries in Raleigh. It's more than just an emergency shelter. The Helen Wright Center is the only low-barrier facility in Wake County that is dedicated to serving single adult women who are experiencing homelessness. It operates 24 hours a day, and it provides a safe shelter, essential services, and workforce development training to the women who live there. The center serves 70-plus women each day and about 800 women each year. We began supporting the center over 10 years ago, and in those 10 years we've evolved from providing donated food to now we cook our own food and we go there and we serve it. So could we have slide 2, thank you. On the third Sunday of each month, UUFR volunteers gather here in the kitchen and prepare from scratch a casserole or a main entree for the meal. This is done, as you'll see, by both big and small volunteers. And that's one of the parts we love about it, is getting to work with the small volunteers. Many other volunteers sign up and donate the rest of the meal, which consists of an entree, a side dish, or a salad, bread and butter, dessert, and a beverage. People drop food off there, or they drop it off here, and we take it there. And we are very grateful for having the new kitchen, which now it's not so new anymore, but it's new to us, and it makes the work so much easier. Slide, yeah. On the third Monday of the month, our UFR volunteers deliver the food to the center, set up the dining room, and provide full table service meal to the ladies there. The service is provided by volunteers of all ages, including, again, our children. We set the tables, plate the food, and hand carry it to each individual. While they're eating, our servers roam the room doing refills and solving problems. And dessert. The ladies always love the dessert. They're friendly and grateful for the meal, but they particularly rave about when we have the cookies that are iced and decorated by the children of our Sunday service. I joined the team several years ago, and I try to be one of the servers every month because, like anyone who volunteers, I think I get more joy out of it than the ladies do. It is such a pleasure working with these women who are delightful, strong women who are wanting to have a better life than they have. Your donations will help buy the ingredients and supplies that we need to keep making this happen every month, and it will ensure that this vital service continues. At UUFR, we are making a difference in the lives of these women on their journey from homelessness to being homed, and we hope you'll help us get them there. Thank you very much.
If you would like to make a contribution in person this morning, we invite you to bring it forward and put it in one of our offering plates. If you would prefer to have an usher come to you, please raise your hand. You may also give using one of the methods that will appear shortly on our screen. Our offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Thank you, Wenchao. Our first reading this morning is an excerpt from a book called Finding Your Religion by Reverend Scotty McLennan. who you might not know. He's a UU minister, and he's also the template for the minister in Doonesbury, for the pastor in Doonesbury. He and, oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank on Doonesbury author? Gary Trudeau, there we go. Yeah, so he and Gary Trudeau were in school together. He writes, "It is my experience that the spiritual mountain is best climbed along marked trails and paths. Of course, it's possible to make progress by striking out on one's own and bushwhacking through the brambles and undergrowth. That may also seem a lot more exhilarating and much more fun for a while anyway. It's also a lot easier that way to get lost, exhausted, and burned out. There are major world religions that have been around for millennia and have had billions of followers. These great religions offer wide paths that have accommodated the individual needs of radically different people. They have included mystics and intellectuals, artists and professional people, social activists, and common laborers. They have spoken in a wide variety of ways to people of all ages and all stages of spiritual development. From my perspective, none of these religions is inherently any more right than another. None has a lock on salvation, insight, community, creativity, or meaning. On the other hand, it is through established religions that we encounter much of what is called spirituality, and spirituality can best be developed along one of their paths. All of this is not to say that in mountain climbing one might not want to try different paths at different times. Even on one route, it's helpful to talk to pilgrims on other paths at trail crossings about what they've encountered and seen. Traveling companions on the same path may also have very different personal experiences, depending on who they are and what they're looking for. Nonetheless, there are good reasons trails have been worn on a mountainside. They help the hiker progress without unnecessary obstacles and injury. They lead to points of interest. They facilitate camaraderie among fellow travelers. And the many feet that have gone before have kept the trails maintained for the next generation of venturers."
It was just shy of about 10 years ago that I first learned about systemic racism. I was on the cusp of middle age, and I was embarrassed that it took me that long to learn that U.S. society's rules were intentionally unjust to certain people. And I was also glad that my eyes were open to the truth that seems so obvious to me today. And once I saw that truth, I made a commitment to continue learning as much as I could about systemic racism and oppression and how to dismantle it. I came to this new understanding by being one of the 30 people who took part in the Beloved Conversations anti-racism program offered in my home UU congregation in Westport, Connecticut. I was surprised that one of the first things we did in that program was learn about our own cultures. I'm a white woman whose great-grandparents, except for one, were all born in the US. Many of my ancestors can be tracked back to North America for at least 6 generations. What culture did I have? I was American. Americans have no culture. But reading by reading, lesson by lesson, conversation by conversation, I gradually learned that I do indeed have a culture. I grew up in Eugene, Oregon, in a homogeneous neighborhood. Most of the families in our neighborhood were white, middle class, had college degrees, and most owned their homes. I grew up Catholic, which was a minority religion-wise, but as I went to Catholic school, I never felt singled out for my religion. The way I grew up felt normal to me, and that normality was reflected in the messages I received from the outside world. Once I got to university, I started learning that my normal wasn't everyone's normal. I learned that for some people, unlike my own experience, that going to college wasn't always a given. I learned that some people believed that the contents of the Bible were literally true, but I still assumed that by and large, even if folks spoke different languages or came from different countries, that what was normal for me was normal for them. I never felt like I needed to intentionally describe what normal was. It just was. As a white, middle-aged, cisgendered, heterosexual, high middle class, highly educated woman, much of U.S. culture is built to my advantage. I hold a lot of privilege. For someone like me, the first steps of anti-racism work are internal. Learning to put words to the cultural water in which I swim, and to understand how my own thoughts and my own behavior are affected by that culture. One of the resources I found most helpful was an article developed by Tema Okun and Kenneth Jones that outlines characteristics of white supremacy culture. By that, saying that ours is a white supremacy culture does not mean that we're all white supremacists. I want to be clear about that. But it does mean that our culture privileges people who are white over people who are not white. It's the system in which we live, not necessarily how we ourselves live. It's a systemic problem, and everyone is affected by that system. It's the water in which we swim. But if we don't know what the water is, it's very difficult to learn how to live differently. According to Okun and Jones, some of these characteristics of white supremacy culture are either or thinking. For instance, we're either good people or bad people. Perfectionism, this one I struggle with a lot, basically saying that mistakes are to be avoided at all cost. And urgency, such as it's better to make decisions quickly rather than take the time to gather feedback from everyone involved and affected. Since the original article was written, Tema Okun has done a lot more study of the characteristics of and antidotes to white supremacy culture. I encourage you to visit Okun's website to learn more, which is whitesupremacyculture, all one word, .info. It's a lot of really helpful things in there. This is the third Sunday in a row when I've been talking about our UU shared values. 2 weeks ago, I talked about the shared value of love, which is centered in all of our UU values. Last week was about the values of interdependence, generosity, and transformation. And today, I'm covering the final 3 shared UU values, which are pluralism, justice, and equity. The children have been taught the mnemonic Jigglepet to remember what our shared values are. It's jig, justice, interdependence, generosity, then L in the middle appropriately, then PET for pluralism, equity, and transformation, Jigglepet. Many UUs are familiar with pluralism in the sense that ours is a pluralistic faith. We as UUs come from many different faith traditions or none at all. We support and accompany each other on our journeys toward our own spiritual truths. On any given Sunday, the spiritual language used might include the word God or Buddha or Gaia, or might not have any God language at all. When we talk to each other about sources of our inspiration, we might mention a book we read, or a poem, or a piece of art or music, or just the wonder of human connection or nature. Even though the message from the pulpit or the experience of someone during Wednesday night dinner might not agree with our own spirituality, even though such moments might be uncomfortable, we know that we are enriched and supported by our different spiritual paths. The language used in the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws about our shared value of pluralism reads as follows. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. While we UUs may have religious pluralism down pat, we don't always handle other cultural differences as well, particularly if we hold identities that are more privileged in U.S. society. One way to do difference better is to understand how we expect people to act, our assumptions about how people communicate, make decisions, relate with each other, and realize that not all cultures do these things the same way. While cultural differences can be difficult to negotiate, the more we make our assumptions explicit, the better able we are to navigate difference. And the more enriched and resilient our society becomes. It's going to take all of us, all of our experiences and knowledge and ways of being to build a better path forward for ourselves and our planet.
Fires
Thank you, Jean Marie and the choir. That was wonderful. The next reading is excerpts from The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We must lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek to harm none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew. Even as we hurt, we hoped. Even as we tired, we tried. That we'll forever be tied together victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left with.
All 7 of our UU shared values are interconnected and inseparable from one another. That being said, each of the shared values could easily be the topic of an entire sermon by themselves. But I think it makes sense to talk about the final 2 shared values, equity and justice, in the same message because they are similar yet different. Equity often gets confused with equality, but they're different. Equality is when everyone gets the same thing. Every U.S. citizen 18 or older gets a single vote. That's equality. Equity is when everyone gets what they need. Some need more, some need less, and everyone starts from different places, out of different situations. When it comes to actually voting, not everyone has the same ability to exercise the vote. If you are unable to drive or don't have a car, that makes it harder to get an ID when it's required to vote. And it makes it harder to get to the polls to vote. Not necessarily impossible, but harder. If you have a disability, that can make access to the vote more difficult. If you've been temporarily relocated for work and mail-in ballots aren't available, that can make it harder to vote. If you're working 3 jobs to make ends meet, that can make it more difficult to vote. Our shared value of equity calls us to ensure that every eligible U.S. citizen gets what they need to exercise their right to vote, whether that's a ride to the polls, or to get an ID, or helping someone get an absentee ballot, or checking on someone's registration status, or protecting them from intimidation in the polls. Equity is focused on meeting individual needs with practical solutions, understanding that some need more and some need less. The text of our shared value of equity in the UUA bylaws reads as follows: "We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities." Justice, on the other hand, focuses on systems. Working towards justice means working towards systemic change for the long term. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was the result of justice work. When we protest, or when we write letters to elected representatives about requiring IDs to vote or redistricting, that's justice work. When we organize our communities to demand ranked choice voting or access to mail-in ballots, that's the work of justice. In the UUA bylaws, the section on the shared value of justice is as follows. I copied the wrong one in my notes. Remember that perfectionism thing? Yeah, sorry about that. We'll skip that part. Here at UUFR, there are many options to live our shared values of equity and justice. Earlier in the service, Joyce Dunn shared with us how UUFR's work to provide food for the Helen Wright Center helps to provide equitable access to healthy and hearty food. Also, our UUFR The Vote team is kicking off a congregation-wide bingo activity that encourages us to participate in various nonpartisan voter advocacy, such as writing postcards, registering people to vote, working at the polls, or canvassing. There will be a table during social hour if you'd like to know more. One way to live our shared value of justice is to attend the One Wake action scheduled for September 19th. During the action, we will be holding elected officials across Wake County accountable to ensure access to more affordable housing. Visit the table outside of Founders Hall for more information about that. For centuries, our Western European culture has been structured to privilege one group of people over all others, with dehumanizing and devastating results. We are in a moment in our country's history when the administration boldly divides all of us and dehumanizes too many. There is no greater time to live loudly into our shared UU values, to keep love at the center of everything we do, and to remember that we are all a beloved part of all that is. The waters are rising, and we will wade through them together. The fires are burning, and we will walk through the fires together. The mountains are falling, and we will rebuild the mountains together with all of our actions centered in love and our shared values. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. May it be so. Amen. I invite you to stand in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, which is "The Tide is Rising," and you will see the lyrics on the screen. As we end this time together, I would like to share words from Robin F. Gray. We call for this blessing on all sheltered here, whether in body or in spirit. May the flame of our community ignite a love bold enough to share. And in return, may we all be embraced by a love that remains constant in times of sorrow and in days of great gladness. Amen. And now we will embody the chalice. We extinguish this chalice that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light our path as we leave this place. May it guide our way until we are together again.